Well, good afternoon, Pirates. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. The State of the University statement address, as it were, we reinstated it last year. We had the pleasure of being together in Wright Auditorium, and of course, we're amidst COVID, so here we are with our virtual approach and teams. Regardless of that, I'm pleased to be with you and pleased that we can share this statement together. For those who can't view it right now or in class or whatever the case might be, this will be linked to the primary website sometime tomorrow. It'll be available to the ECU YouTube channel in the morning, so plenty of links to the presentation itself. Well, let's get started. We're going to do a little slide deck here, and we'll be thinking about where we've come through the year. Again, we did this last February in Wright Auditorium. So let's think about the beginning of last year, and it was the start of a great year for me personally. I was pretty excited about what I was doing and how we were doing it. I could be a guest speaker in Melissa Watterson's COM 2020 class. That was fun. Great engaged students. I could reveal my own anxiety over public speaking and discuss that with them and some tricks of the trade for overcoming it. I could attend the grand opening for Reddy's new digs down there on 5th Street in the Uptown District. What a beautiful adaptive reuse for that building, and that was a great joy for us as well. The athletics part was fantastic. We had some great basketball games in January and February, some great wins over great competition in the American Conference. I was able to, before March showed up, able to attend the annual baseball banquet. That's coming up, by the way. Really proud of our baseball team, the program, Coach Godwin, who celebrated his birthday, I think, just yesterday, was able to attend Chile, a Chile game, I think this one against Indiana. So, again, before March showed up, we were off and running with some tremendous face-to-face engaged activities. And probably my favorite before spring break was hosting the Horizons Awards. It's our service award banquet. As you remember, we do one for international and one for research and one for teaching and one for service. And it is our motto, SUIRA. I look at this sea of servants here, this pirate sea of servants, and I see Captain Sutton up front with his daughter who wants no part of this picture taking stuff. And this is me taking a picture. I do that a lot these days. I see my dear wife. I see Janine Hudson. I see John Stiller, Vivian Covington. Way in the back, I see Chris Lockley. I see all these tremendous pirates. Ricky Hill, I see him. Over there on the left, I'm starting to see Sharon Painter. I think that's Bill Koch next to her. And who's that sitting next to Sharon? Let's see. Who let Bernie in the place? Well, that was great. That's my attempt at humor, and I won't do any more this afternoon, I promise. But we had to get Bernie in the scene there. Let's think about what transpired after that great opening. January, February, into early March, and then things got crazy. We were certainly watching for COVID before March, but it came upon us with a pretty good vengeance there in March, and we pivoted. The UNC system pivoted so that we went to remote learning, teaching, meetings, and the like. We did our telecommuting and working from home, and so things changed, and we really coped with it. And I was so proud of what I saw in Pirate Nation, still the passion there for the mission, and a lot of compassion you know, the fact that we care so deeply about one another in our community of learners and teachers and servers, that it was a good thing in that regard for all of us to learn. And we spent the spring and into the summer planning, hopefully, for a successful reopening, a return of Pirate Nation in the fall. And as you are well aware, we opened up with a lot of density on our campus, and probably in hindsight, too much density on our campus. And within a couple of weeks of really a runaway virus, we were again forced to pivot and went remote in our instruction, except at graduate level. So then it became a matter, and I did the same thing, by the way. I pivoted to online in my Geography 1000. I enjoyed it, but it's different. It's clearly different. And then we start preparing for the spring. Obviously, we had to. And I feel like we learned a lot of lessons in the fall semester. We knew we had to reduce densities on campus. We knew we needed more isolation and quarantine space. And so we put all that in place. And I'm pleased. To date, you know, this is one thing I do every morning. I promised you I would do this. I check the numbers, and I check the Johns Hopkins site for sort of that international setting for COVID-19. I check the North Carolina DHHS site for what's happening in our state, what's happening in our county. I certainly look at our own dashboard for cases and for the kinds of capacity that we have remaining for isolation and quarantine, and the numbers are behaving quite well. I mean, we did, I got a report from Vice Chancellor Hardy this morning. Over the last 2 days, we've have report of 926 tests, so testing the residential students, 926. With 9 infections. So about a 1% infection rate. So I think so far, so good. And you're like me, you're into the 3rd week of our semester, and we're going great guns. So I know there are a few things that are still bothersome about our COVID experience. The vaccines are horribly slow. And there's been a little bit of confusion in the early stages of that. And so I think we've sorted that out. As soon as the supply chain regains some momentum, we'll be back at it, vaccinating people. If I heard the report from Jason Foltz the other day correctly, we have vaccinated probably about 2,700 on our campus. And so still making progress, but we need that supply chain to get corrected. Here's another set of numbers that I check every morning, not some mornings, every morning. I check the admissions website dashboard, and I make sure that we're on track. And I know my friends over in admissions, Stephanie Whaley and her crew, working really hard, successfully. We're up 360 applications as of yesterday, and so we set a record last year. Looks like we're going to set a new record this year. What we'll have to do a little differently this year is yield. And last year was a difficult yield year cycle for us with the inability to provide as much face-to-face on-campus exposure for our new students, our prospective students, as we would like. We're changing some of that. There'll still be a virtual version for Pirates on board, but we'll also have some scaled down face-to-face versions. So I am anticipating a much improved yield year. The other numbers, of course, that we check are the enrollment numbers, and the spring numbers are good. The census, yesterday was census day, and we were plus 121, and so we're good. You know, I think in this environment, flat is actually pretty good. Plus 121, credit hours look fine. So again, you get up in the morning, you check the COVID numbers, you check the admissions number, you check the enrollment numbers, and so far, so good. It's a source of confidence and comfort that the numbers are looking good. Let's think about something that I've forced you to think about a lot I tried to estimate how many times I've recited this mission, right? To be a national model for student success, public service, and regional transformation. I hope that's in your heads and in your souls, your hearts, as we make sure that our students are successful and the region that we call home is also successful with our teaching and our research and our service. You know, I think I've said it, I estimated probably 7,500 times, so it's part and parcel of who I am and what I do. I enjoy being with my students on Tuesday and Thursday morning. I feel like I'm contributing a little more directly to their success than a chancellor might otherwise feel. Well, we say we're going to be a national model, and the good news is, you know, I share this kind of badging a lot with the world, including you, so that every indication is that we are, in fact, either at or becoming this national model for student success and for the success of our region. The Carnegie Foundation classifies us as community engaged. That's not easy to do. APLU, the Association of Public and Land Grant Universities, classifies us as an innovation and economic prosperity university because of our engagement with the region and Greenville from an economic perspective. We've been listed for the second year in a row in the Princeton Review of the best colleges. I'm really proud, the lower right there, best colleges, U.S. News and World Report. We rank now nationally 33rd on our ability, willingness to bestow social mobility with our students. So these are things that are important because while we don't, this is not the goal. Certainly the mission is not to achieve these badges. The mission is to serve our students in our region so well that these agencies actually stand up and take notice of who we are and what we're doing over here in Greenville, North Carolina. So let's take a look at some of the metrics associated with student success. A lot of times you'll hear about the enrollment woes of East Carolina University, and so I said, well, we'll put a slide together at least that illustrates one thing. Enrollment hasn't been growing. Headcount is basically flat. As you can see, the high water mark was 2017 at 29,131. Of course, in 2017, I was sitting there hoping that we would hit the 30,000 mark the following year. And we've made so many changes. I mentioned our Office of Undergraduate Admissions. Same at the graduate level. So much in the way of modification of how we do things, our leadership over there. Just a significant remodeling of how we attract students, making sure that students, prospective students, and parents know just what we have to offer here in the way of academics and the quality of student life on our campus. We do a great job in the classroom. We do a great job out of the classroom. Another aspect that we have worked on and that needs continuous attention. I believe when I came here in 1999 that the percentage of students classified as white here on this slide, 68%, 65%, was somewhere in the neighborhood of 73%, almost 3/4. So now we're a little less than 2/3, and we've got work to do. I mention this because of the region. Certainly the students who come to us are again successful. They go out and do great things in the world. But our region, you know, when I look at the statistics, it's pretty simple. Pitt County is 35% Black or African American. You can find many counties in the East that are 50 to 60% of population that are Black or African American, and to me, this university must continuously strive to reflect the face of its region. The region is counting on us. Our students will be more successful with that diversity, and our region will be more successful with that diversity. So it's a project, and I'm counting on all of you to assist with this project. One of the things that we do quite well is to retain our students. We really do a fantastic job of retaining and graduating students, especially given the profile of our students. Our students come to us, many from lower income settings, they're Pell eligible. Many are first generation. Many are coming to us from counties that have been classified by North Carolina as distressed, Tier 1 and Tier 2 counties. So they're coming to us, and they're coming to us from all walks, and we do a great job, and you should be proud of this. I rounded these things off to a whole number here, but our 2019 number is the new record. And I can't remember exactly what it was. It's 83.5% or something like that. And so I'm really proud when you think about that cohort that came to us in the fall of 2019 and endured the pivot of spring break last spring. How great is it that they came back to us, that they endured, that they were resilient, that we were caring enough that they would come back. We still have work to do. Big gap between the males and the females in this regard, as you can see. And I think we will pay some attention to this, but it's a necessary ingredient. Another thing that we can be proud of is our graduation rate, whether it's measured by the 4-year graduation rate or 5-year or 6-year. I think you understand that we do really a fantastic job given the profile. And I'll show you a slide in a minute that illustrates this, but you know, whether it's the Finish in 4 initiative that we all worked on a couple of years ago to put an emphasis on the importance of completion, whether it's that or just the willingness and the ability of professors, advisors, counselors on our campus, student life to engage our students and to help them be successful. This is really a community effort at ECU. We've got gaps to work on. I mean, I've illustrated some of the gaps that we must work on. Again, male versus female, that's a 13 percentage point difference between our male students and our female students for the 5-year graduation rate. That's a big gap. So we've got some work to do there. There's a bit of an ethnic gap here that we're looking at as well. So we still have work to do to close those gaps and to make sure that we have the right programming and interventions designed to assist our students. And I know we're all committed to that, so it's a fantastic thing. You know, one of the things that I think that you need to know about is this establishment of a new peer set. And I know this has not been well publicized, but I wanted you to hear it from me today. We have a new peer set. This peer set was approved, adopted by the Board of Governors at their October 2020 meeting, so it's new. And that was a long drawn out negotiation. We had a committee set up. The committee had representation from faculty, staff, administration, of course. And we worked very closely with the University of North Carolina System Office until we got to an acceptable group of new peers. So you can see what they are. They're Illinois State, Ohio, Ball State, Kent State, Washington State, Central Michigan, Northern Arizona, Western Michigan, Florida Atlantic, Utah State, and UNLV. These are our new peers. And when I compare us to our new peers using IPEDS data, the 2012 cohort 5-year graduation rate, you see where we fall. Second place out of that peer set. So I can't tell you how proud I am of the work that that this campus invests to make sure that our students are doing great in the classroom, outside the classroom. One of the reasons that I think we've come so far is actually nationally recognized now. And this is our, again, our ability and our willingness to assess what we're doing. Our commitment to assessment has changed dramatically in my time here. And I think we have actually established a strong culture of assessment. It's not simply enough to think you're doing okay. You got to document the thing. You got to be able to communicate this to the outside world. And you have taken this and run with it, and I'm so thankful. We have champions in just about every unit on campus. I'm also thankful to IPAR and to Kristen Springer-Dreyfus over there, who heads up our efforts. So it's, again, national model, and there's a lot of hard work that is underlies this advance of ours of being a national model for student success. This next slide is something that is important to me. I mean, I'm a geographer, you know that, and this is a map of the United States that portrays social mobility. And there's obviously a geography to social mobility. And let me just summarize: green is better and red is worse. And we're obviously in the Southeast, and social mobility in the Southeast is limited. So when I say that East Carolina University ranks 33rd nationally in terms of our ability to provide social mobility for our students, I'm really proud of that. And we're bucking a trend in that statistic. This is important. This is very, very important that our students are able, willing to pull themselves up, and we need to continue to work on this in a very decided manner. Some other aspects of our student success, you know, I was surprised by this. You can't see all the details in this table, but let me summarize by saying this. We lead the UNC system in military affiliated students, enrolled students. We lead the UNC system. In this table, you're looking at 3,412 affiliated students. Now that's about 18% of the UNC system total. I was in a committee meeting of the Board of Governors when this table was presented, and I remember, like it was yesterday, Governor Daughtry, who is our liaison, by the way, asked a simple question: why is ECU so successful? And I didn't have to say a word, because the staff at the UNC system indicated two things. Number one, we're very well organized, and I'm proud of our new Chancellor's Military Advisory Commission, composed of 5 committees doing different things. And the second thing they said was that we have a great reputation with the military. And so I'm thankful. I'm thankful for our organized approach. I'm thankful for the passion that you bring to the task, and for being a great asset to the region. The region is chock full of military installations, as you well know. And for us to be sensitive to our region and the success of our region requires us to be, of course, sensitive to the needs of the military in terms of educational needs and services, but also in terms of research. So onward and upward with our relationship with the military. The thing that surprised me the other day, you'll remember Jay Golden, former Vice Chancellor for Research, Economic Development, and Engagement. Well, Jay sent me an email, sent Mike Van Scott an email, and he was congratulating us on our new ranking. We had moved way up in the HERD survey. And as you know, Vice Chancellor Golden was very proud of where we were in the HERD survey. And what has been revealed in the latest data that covers 2016 through 2019 here is that ECU led all universities in the growth of sponsored program research, sponsored programs, and expenditures. And again, I mean, I don't know how you make an interim chancellor proud, but this is really a spectacular outcome. And I'm so thankful, because I know the people who are doing this work. I know you very, very well, and I know how difficult this work is. It's not easy. So when we do well in the NSF HERD survey, it certainly reflects so positively on our institution, but ever more so positively on your dedication, your devotion to doing the good work. Much of that research, of course, is applied. It's devoted to problem solving, and increasingly so. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for that outcome. Our next slide here illustrates, you know, a new asset in this regard. What a tremendous asset is being built there on the corner of 10th and Evans. I pass it usually between 6 and 6:30 on my way to the office every morning, and the workers are getting there, and it's such an exciting thing to watch this thing come out of the ground. It's going to be a beautiful facility. It will be a gateway. It will serve as a gateway as people come in over Mount Greenville, the 10th Street connector there, and they see this presence. And you know, it's an asset just like our new student center there on the Main Street campus. These things really are what attract people, attract prospective students, their families, firms to the area, to the region. So I'm really pleased about this particular development. We worked hard to make sure that it got on NC Connect years ago, and I'm also pleased that we'll see occupation of this in late summer. So what an exciting time, and I've mentioned his name before, but I'm thankful to Mike Van Scott for being really important in that process of getting this thing designed, Bill Bagnell and his team for making sure that we're on schedule and providing a beautiful new asset for ECU. And right across the street, and you've paid some attention to this, we have turned over the development of 22 acres, 22 fantastically located acres across from the Life Sciences and Biotech building. And we've turned it over to Elliott Sidewalk Communities, and they're a great developer of university lands in many communities and an experienced land developer. So what we had to bring to the table, of course, was a university, a new building. But we also brought to the table this wonderful landscape that's sort of laid dormant for years. And it's going to come to life in short order. I was in a meeting just last week with Tim Elliott of the Development Corporation, and he was showing me the plans for the tobacco warehouse, export tobacco leaf building, what we call the Haney building. And it's just so exciting to see what will happen on that landscape. It will be a magnet for investment from the outside world, but it will also be a tremendous landing place for some of the ideas that will spin out of this university. So how exciting it is, and how thankful the community is for our investment in this activity. And I think this adaptive reuse of that landscape is going to be something that we can all be excited about for years to come. A tremendous asset within walking distance of all those urban amenities being developed down there on Dickinson Avenue. And everybody's pleased about this. I hope you are too. Our next slide continues to illustrate our connectivity to the region and its activities, whether that's the military or you know, whether it's industrial development across the street from our new Life Sciences and Biotech building. Here we see one of my heroes, Robin Tudor Markham. She is a hero for our farmers, our fishers, and our foresters in the region. In fact, statewide. The North Carolina Agro-Medicine Institute serves certainly the region, and the sector of agriculture, but statewide. And it's a multi-institutional institute. Our partners are North Carolina State University and North Carolina A&T. And we're so proud that it's hosted here at ECU out of the Brody School, and that it provides such significant services to this sector, agriculture, forestry, and fishing. So it's all about the health, the well-being, and the safety of those occupations, in some very dangerous occupations, I think you'd agree. So hats off to Robin and her work, especially during the COVID period when they were providing key supplies to our agricultural communities. Thank you, Robin. And we would be remiss if we didn't think about our coastal region and the continued development of our coastal environment. And whether we're talking about this campus that we have branded as ECU at OBX, which hosts the Coastal Studies Institute, another multi-institutional entity devoted to understanding the coast and its issues. It might be the graveyard of the Atlantic and our distinctive ability to do historical studies, underwater archaeology, and the like. I mean, I'm really thrilled with the continued development, and I'm thankful to Reed Corbett for leading that effort out there and for making sure that those programs and those efforts out there on the coast are linked back here to Greenville in a positive manner so that we gain the synergies that we should have. He'll have almost 20 students out there, undergraduates out there this spring, studying the coast and all that it has to offer. I see nothing but growth potential there. It's a beautiful, beautiful facility. It has plenty of potential for additional growth, and I'm excited by Reed's leadership. So thank you for that. Perhaps the most exciting things that we have witnessed and continue to witness despite COVID is the intersection of student success and regional success. Anytime we intersect those two things, we get great outcomes. We get tremendous excitement. We get the engagement of students, of faculty, of staff, of community members, and I couldn't be more pleased with what I'm seeing in this regard. And I'm thankful for the Miller School. I'm thankful for the new development of an Isley Innovation Hub. I'm thankful for the theme in the Honors College. I'm thankful for Reddy's involvement with CQ and with Rise 29, which puts internships out there in communities to solve problems, to innovate, to create. So we're blessed. We are real, and this theme is relatively new, and it's really taking off. And I couldn't be more excited or proud of what we're doing in this regard. Our next slide reminds us, however, we still got work to do on our campus in a number of ways. We've got some recognition for our sustainability efforts. Chad does a great job of leading that effort. We've got more to do. The students are interested in this. I've been working with a group of students who want to develop an edible landscape at ECU as part of a sustainability effort. We have beehives on our campus now. So things are moving in that direction, and it's an important emphasis, and it's an emphasis that most of us can easily get engaged in. Here's another emphasis, however, that I think is important for our campus. And I'll go back to something I said before. It's important for our students. It's important for our faculty and staff. It's important for our region, for heaven's sakes. And what we witnessed over the summer, I think, has been a springboard. I heard from a number of leaders today. They've been in, I think it was probably 35 to 40 of them, campus leaders who've been in training with the Racial Equity Institute for the last couple of days. Now, we had 2 sessions of this for University Council, and I'll remind you that University Council is one of those new things that improves the engagement with senior administrators and our campus. About 70 leaders, including chair, vice chair of faculty and staff senates. So we've been going through training with the Racial Equity Institute, and I think some of the history that we're learning there is an eye-opener for many of us. We also read together White Fragility, and I think all of us will be better prepared to take constructive feedback after having gone through that reading and thinking about it. We've done some really deep data dives over the last few months, and I'm thankful to Lakeisha Forbes and the Office of Equity and Diversity for leading that effort. Beverly King and IPAR have been instrumental in that as well. Next week, we'll be thinking about a recommendation from our ad hoc naming committee on renaming some facilities here on campus. You'll be hearing more about that. So we're committed, we're engaged. We've seen education, training, discussions. We've seen some curriculum design. We've seen some professional development opportunities for faculty. So all of that will continue. We've got some momentum there, and we certainly want to pass it on. While I'm mentioning, opportunity, barriers to success, I'm really proud of this team: Stephanie George, Kristen Myers, Rachel Roper, Crystal Chambers, along with Mary Farwell and Cindy Putnam Evans, who have worked for 4 years to successfully propose a program to benefit women at ECU. It's called Thrive. You can see what towards hiring, resources, inclusion, value, and excellence. They have a model, advocates and allies. They need people like me, those who have benefited from the structure, to actually be change agents of the structure. So they're working hard on that, NSF funded, and I'm proud of their teamwork and their efforts to make sure that barriers to success, doesn't matter who you are reduced. So a few more slides and we'll be finished. I wanted to make sure as we think about concluding today's update and statement that you understand where we are in terms of money, budget. Now we're all waiting for the legislature to get its budget together so that we know what we face in the next fiscal year. What we face in this fiscal year is under control. We've taken the necessary steps. They've been painful steps. As you know, we have been very, very conservative in expenditures on this campus for at least 18 months, close to 2 years. And that's included a number of things. We have reduced the FTE, the number of employees on our campus. We've reduced FTE on our campus by almost 200 FTE over the last 18 months. We have had to furlough individuals based on disrupted revenue streams or simply a lack of demand for services. So between a hiring freeze and federal assistance has been helpful. So we've done the difficult things of limiting expenditures. We've been helped greatly by 2 rounds of federal assistance, and I'm thankful for that assistance, and it has helped us stay glued together. We've continued to reduce our long-term debt. We will continue along that. We have certainly postponed projects in order to accomplish that. Our net position, that is basically cash on hand, is actually slightly up for fiscal year 2020, and for the reasons that I just gave. A very conservative approach to expenditures, federal funding, some of it unexpected. So I'm pleased with where we're at, and I am committed to making sure that we continue this as we hand off to a new chancellor. So that's short term. Long term, you know what's going on. We've got this Fiscal Sustainability Coordinating Committee hard at work. And I couldn't be more thankful for the work of the committee and its leader, Mike Van Scott. If you want to know more about it, there's the website. I'll put it down there for you. Mike has been putting out reports, updates to the campus. I believe we have a great process here to think about structure, to think about shared services, to think about new academic programming. And so how good is that as we think through these elements of the future, and that this work, this plan, might be handed over to our new chancellor, I think is just the right thing to do. So thank you for that hard work. And I've mentioned it a couple times now, right? So we're all here to welcome our new chancellor. March 15th is the day. I'm pleased. I can't tell you how pleased I am with this selection, how comfortable I am with this selection. And you know, here we have someone who was born and raised in Greenville, knows this area. For heaven's sakes, he went to high school with my youngest son. And here he has spent years now as the chief of staff here at ECU, so he knows the university so well, the community so well. But I think the last 8 or 9 years up in Washington, D.C., on DuPont Circle, in the hub of knowledge about higher ed. He's a senior vice president for ACE, the American Council of Education. He has seen this landscape. He has witnessed great leadership. He knows what the innovations and what creativity can do for our sector. So I couldn't be more excited about the return of this great pirate, return to home, and he's going to have my full support. And I know that I can count on you to also provide your full support when he comes on board March 15th. He's impressive. And you know, just a final statement from me, just to express a few things. It certainly, for a lot of reasons for me, has been a memorable year. You know, I've been basically a professor all my life, and this capstone experience as the interim chancellor has been pretty humbling, but very rewarding, and in large part because of you, because of your commitment to the mission. I mean, I'm all about mission, but also because of the support that you have shown me. And so I'll be eternally grateful to this institution for the opportunity and the opportunity to serve. And I'm thankful for you and your commitment to this institution. So thank you one and all. Now, that concludes our statement. That's the update for ECU, and the state of the institution, the state of the university is strong, I'd say, and we're ready to pass the baton off to our new chancellor. You'll join me in that, I know. You all have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you around the ranch. Thank you.